Celebrating the inauguration of the spiritual home of the nation, a national prayer service now underway.
Thanks, Carol. Hi, everybody. Nice to have you with us. I'm Ashley Banfield, and right now I want to take you live to the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C. The picture's on your screen where the President and the First Lady, Michelle Obama, along with the Vice President and Dr. Biden, are attending the National Prayer Service. This is a post-inauguration tradition that dates back to the days of George Washington, a very important and solemn moment. We're going to do a lot more coverage as we go along through the hour about just exactly what happens during the National Prayer Service. But again, a storied tradition, and they happen to be inside the National Cathedral, which you will probably remember was making news earlier this month because officials there said they are now planning to allow same-sex marriages in that church for the first time. And I know that you got the assignment outside of the National Cathedral today, and it is bitterly, bitterly cold. But I want you to tell me a little bit about the warmth and love inside that cathedral. We're looking at more of the live pictures. This is really an awesome event, and people might forget that it is an annual event that stems the lifetime of this country. But give me a bit of a play-by-play.
That's right. I mean, I can rewind a little bit to sort of the history of this. You look back to FDR and his first inauguration in 1933. That's when it first started happening here at the cathedral. It has not been consistent over the years, but we did see that trend to begin in the second term of Ronald Reagan. Since then, every other president has had their post-inauguration prayer service here at the cathedral, with the exception of former President Clinton. Both of his services were held at the AME Church, which is a historically African-American church here in Washington. So what you're hearing now, some of the music being played. Earlier there was a choir singing. There will be Bible readings, other spiritual readings that will be taking place here today. But mostly it's a chance to pray for the country and also pray for the Vice President and the President as they tackle some of the big challenges in their second term.
It's a lovely service to be able to watch live, and at the same time, coming up in a little bit, the Reverend Adam Hamilton's going to deliver the sermon. And if you don't know who he is, he's a big deal. He's the founding pastor of the United Methodist Church of the Resurrection in Leawood, Kansas. 16,000 members. That's the largest church in that denomination. So the four guests of honor taking that front pew, and a lot of VIPs in attendance as well. Michelle Obama, by the way, can I just say, stunning. She knows how to do it, doesn't she? We're going to talk a lot more about stunning Michelle Obama and what made her so stunning other than her dynamic style and smile, those clothes as well. Dan Lothian, thank you, and we'll continue to touch on the National Prayer Service. We also want to check some of the headlines. Just get you back to the National Prayer Service at Washington Cathedral. They are singing the national anthem, and it's lovely, so have a listen. I want to take you back to the National Cathedral in Washington, where President Obama and Vice President Biden and the First and Second Ladies are beginning the first work day of their second term, and it begins with prayer. And this is a tradition as old as our republic itself. More than 2,000 guests are on hand, along with clergy from all of the major faiths. And this is an interfaith service. We've already, during this prayer service, heard from representatives from the Jewish faith, Islamic faith, Sikh faith, but we are still awaiting the sermon by the Reverend Adam Hamilton, who is a Methodist, and not only that, he's a rock star in the Methodist community. He is the founding pastor of the 16,000-strong United Methodist Church of the Resurrection in Leawood, Kansas. So as we continue to watch this interfaith service, the big highlight yet to come.
Welcome to Newsroom International. I'm Suzanne Aldo. We're taking you around the world in 60 minutes. Here's what's going on right now. An important part of the inaugural festivities underway. President Obama, Vice President Joe Biden, their families, other dignitaries have been worshiping together at a national prayer service. It's held at the Washington National Cathedral. It's an inaugural tradition that dates back to President George Washington. You see them there. Let's dip in and just take a listen. We're going to have a live report of the interfaith ceremony later. Plus, we're also going to dissect the president's inaugural address. You're going to hear a reaction from all sides.
Baby, cry or touch a leaf or see the sky.
That is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. President Obama taking part in a few more of the inaugural traditions, the celebrations, before getting down to business for his second term. The president is attending right now. You see it there. It is glorious. A prayer service at the National Cathedral in Washington. I want to bring in our White House correspondent, Dan Lothian. Dan, you know, this is a tradition that goes back to George Washington. Obviously, it's evolved. A gorgeous, gorgeous voice of that singer there. Tell us what the family is doing, the first family, and how they are responding after a big day of celebrations and the inauguration.
Well, that's right. And, you know, this is tradition on the day after inauguration, the swearing in, all the pomp and circumstance to head to church here at the National Cathedral. And the president, the first lady, the vice president, and Mrs. Biden seated in the front row. Other members of the president's cabinet also here. Attorney General Eric Holder is here. HHS Secretary Sebelius as well. Several others. It has been a mix of Bible readings and other spiritual readings, as well as choirs singing here. Just wrapped up the sermon with the Reverend Adam Hamilton, a senior pastor of the United Methodist Church of the Resurrection in Kansas. And one interesting point, he talked about the partisanship here in Washington and the need for the president and lawmakers to find one or two things, as he called them, dreams or visions, where they can find agreement in order to move this country forward. And so even here in church, the realization that there's been a lot of partisanship here in Washington, and that in order to move forward, lawmakers have to work together. As he pointed out, those on both sides of the aisle need to find these areas of agreement. As you pointed out, this is a rich tradition of coming here the day after inauguration. Dating back to 1933 was the first time that it happened here at this location. FDR at the beginning of his inauguration. So it continues. The only person who hasn't been here, you know who it is?
No.
Former President Bill Clinton. Former President Bill Clinton. Yeah, he attended an historically African-American church here in Washington, D.C. for both of his services, Suzanne.
I'm not good with the trivia there, Dan. I want to talk a little bit about the president's agenda.